a deplorable, according to the standards of liberalism. And I'm with Patriots for American Militia as well. My passion is to help rescue kids out of child sex trafficking and bring awareness to that, and then bring actual awareness to all different types of issues that involve our children and our children's children. Number one, we have to have freedom, because the only difference between communism and freedom is freedom. So,
and I'm proud to be a deplorable. When I heard the words deplorable and irredeemable, that was 5 years ago. That was a gift to the American people. She just criticized every patriotic American, and that was a gift for Americans. Now it's our job, as deplorables, patriotic working Americans that are made of grit, to bring back our country. Honor, restoration, and respect back to our country, our city, our state. And we got to wake up the masses. Those who are listening to the mainstream media are sleeping and aren't aware of what truly is happening. Our group, since it started with 3 years ago, it's expanded. And we're over 2,000 right now. People are hearing about it. But here's the key. We're getting tight with the Father. All of us are getting tight with the Father. It's not happening in the church. It's not happening with the pastors. It's happening with you and I, those regular, ordinary people. And we're congregating in our homes. We're congregating at coffee shops. And we're telling up. And we're waking up the masses. The sleeping dead, if you want to call it that.
well, we're here to celebrate freedom and our rights to not wear a mask, and
we love the USA. We're here for our country.
Exactly.
We're fighting every day for our country, for America.
It's amazing.
This is amazing. There's
Lots
a lot
of
of people here.
Lots of
a lot
people.
of fun. This is a great group of people we just love hanging out with. Kind of life-changing. Melinda and I have really just identified with a lot of people, and it's good to see and hang out with people that we think a lot alike.
We're like-minded.
All right, Deborah, what is it like to be a deplorable?
Like a bulldog, take it by the horns and run with it.
All right.
I want to be one.
Awesome. Well, I think you probably are. If you've been called names,
Unfortunately, yeah, I have been called two names.
all right.
I like your shirt though, deplorable, Neanderthal. If Neanderthal means going back to absolutes.
Well, that's what Biden decided to call us recently. We've had chumps, deplorables, Neanderthals. It's all.
You just don't give up. I think we're kind of a rebel in a way, but really defending our freedoms, having hope every day that we can do something better for this country, our families, bringing God back into our country and uniting. I just think having hope and knowing that we can still do something and bring change. That's a deplorable life. God, family, country. What else is there? Freedom!
I agree. Thank you.
permanent effect from the hormones.
For having us, you know, we do a lot. We protect a lot of 1A and 2A rights. All about the constitutional theory and just a bunch of stuff. But I think what we're most well known for, and what all the television interviews and radio interviews and what have you are missions to rescue children and minors from sex trafficking. We have what's called the RRT, Rapid Response Team. And what they do is they suit up and go out when we get intel about kids that are being taken or in captivity. And we suit up and we get those kids out of help. And so,
can you give us some statistics about what's going on in Texas primarily and how we can help? How can we be a part of this and involve ourselves? What are 3 things that maybe we can do? Or, you know, just give us some statistics first.
yeah, so, you know, a child goes missing every 30 seconds, right? I mean, this is a $60 billion a year industry. The United States is number 2 in the world for sex trafficking, and then Houston, Texas is the number 1 city in the United States, that corridor city for sex trafficking. And so, you know, it's right in our backyard. You know, what can people do every day here? What they can do is they can keep an eye out while they're in public, because I think that, as you know, people think that this happens in, you know, dark alleys and dungeons, and it does. But it really happens right in your backyard. Allen, Texas, Plano, Texas, Frisco, Texas is where this is happening at. You know, it's parking lot. So if you see something and it doesn't look right, say something, because you might upset a parent, possibly, but you also might save a life. You know, and who knows how many of that happens, and people just.
I am Sarah Gonzalez. I am a television host with Blaze TV, and Chad Prather is one of my dearest friends. And I am here to support him for his run for governor, which, by the way, not a joke, very, very serious, which is good because we need someone really conservative to represent us in Texas.
Of course.
Chad is hot. Such a thing. We actually work with
Hotter
him,
than
so
me?
when you say that, we're like, I don't know about that.
North Texas. Are there any of you out here who are proud to be Americans this evening? You know, it's really awesome to come to this great place in our great state and look at all these people who love our country. And just in case there's anybody from the Dallas Morning News or the Washington Post here, we're not terrorists. I assure you of that fact, and I love my country. So, a famous man said in 1964 that the issue at hand is whether we believe that a little elite in a far-off capital can decide that they know better how to plan our lives than we know how to plan our lives for ourselves. That was Ronald Reagan before he became president, when he was speaking on the stump for Barry Goldwater in 1964, and it's a fantastic speech called The Time for Choosing. So I want to tell you a little bit about me. I grew up lower income. My father was a Navy enlisted man, and I moved all around the country on military bases, and I didn't know any different. I was shaped by my faith, by my wonderful family, and that's still important to me today. We're all shaped by our experiences, positive, negative, trying, or otherwise. Family is very important to me, and that's a big part of who I am. And so I have my beautiful wife, Shelly, that we will celebrate 20 years is over here. We're going to celebrate 20 years of marriage this year. And I would argue that Shelly's pretty much a patriot herself, because she put up with me for 19 years in Army service, 14 moves, 5 deployments, 2 cats, a dog, and 2 kids. So family is something that has shaped me, and my faith has shaped me. And tonight I want to talk to you about courage and leadership, and I want to talk to you about a national security issue and a national issue related to election integrity. So I'm very honored to share the stage tonight with a gentleman like Keenan Williams and then our Attorney General, Ken Paxton. And I want to thank the deplorables. I thank you so much for that. I had the pleasure to serve for 25 years in our armed forces. And when people, thank you, when people say, when they say thank you for your service, we say, it was my honor, and you're worth it. All of you, everyone here is worth our service to one another. I'd also like to thank my good friend John Keating, who helped me, and I served on the Frisco Veterans Advisory Committee for about 16 months, so appreciate you, my fellow Patriot Army guy over there. Patrick Wamhoff later on will give us a hard time for being less smarter than the Air Force. That's okay. But you know, Secretary Clinton, she said something about deplorables. Isn't that a wonderful gift that keeps on giving? So thank you, James O'Keefe, for using that line at True Texas the other night. So on to courage. You know, I had the presence of mind and the moral courage when I was in Iraq as a operations battle captain to know when not to eliminate two farmers walking down the road with shovels in their hand because they were just farming. They weren't bad guys. But when a group of Al-Qaeda terrorists were firing onto an innocent family's house, you better believe that I gave the order to eliminate that threat. So there's an understanding as a leader of when to have courage and when to make a decision and stand for what's right. And so as it relates to election integrity, I say, Mr. President, why in the world did you get rid of President Trump's policy on the border? Why in the world are you putting forth Mrs. Speaker Pelosi and Mr. Schumer and Mr. President this abomination to our Constitution called H.R. 1? It's absolutely ridiculous. And my friends, you've got to know that what the left cares about, let me do a little real talk here. For some of you that are uncomfortable, just hang on with me. They don't care about people that have differences sexually. They don't care about the weak and the poor and the trodden down. They don't care about people who have issues trying to figure out who they are. They don't care truly about real racial healing. What they care about is power. Because as President Reagan said in 1964, they believe that they know better than you and I about how to plan our lives. So ladies and gentlemen, let's do what President Reagan also said in that speech and ask our legislators for policy that we know is morally right. So we need courage to stand up and say what's right, and I'm proud to be a part of this group of wonderful American patriots who love and care about our country. We don't always see things straight, that's okay, but let me tell you something, there has never been a better family than you guys, and I want to close with this quote. It's imperative that we teach future generations about the burdens and blessings of freedom and liberty. And let us say that we stood where duty required us to stand. Thank you. God bless Texas. God bless America.
All right, here's Frisco. Here's the Frisco citizens. All right, so my name is Evelyn Brooks, and I am delighted to serve as your next Frisco ISD Board of Trustees, Place 7, where we bring common sense back in decision making, we bring godly principles back, and we just make it great again. Teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, free of politics, taking care of our teachers, and doing what is best for our students. God bless you. Thank you.
All right, this next person is a deplorable through and through, so I got to give her my cape. All right, Miss Jennifer White.
Hey, I'm Dr. Jennifer White. I'm running for Frisco City Council Place 3. Who are my deplorables out here? I want to thank you guys so much just for supporting me. It's been an awesome race. I want to tell you that I'm the only true conservative in this race. I am going to win, and we're going to take back our city for conservatism.
How are you guys? Well, my name is Keenan Williams, as I know most of the people out here.
Keenan Williams, I'm strategic director for the Trump campaign for the last couple of years, and it has been an honor to work for the greatest president that we've ever seen. We've got a lot of work to do. It was different working for President Trump because, of course, in case you didn't know, I'm a black man. So it created opportunities for me to shatter some of the fallacies of President Trump being a racist or the Republican Party being racist. You and I know that these things are not true. I will share this with you. It's important for us as Republicans, as conservatives, to educate people on who we are and why we are. They are hurting people who need us. We cannot win, but I want to tell you, you can't win who you offend. And when your criticism begins, your influence will end. Being the director, I was put in so many different scenarios and obstacles and conversations. It allowed me to build relationships, it allowed me to build rapport, but it also built me for a time such as this. I'm honored to serve the president, I'm honored to serve my country, I am honored to serve my people. I want to share a couple of things with you guys that are very, very important. Today and now is the truth of what America is all about. America has always been about black, white, and brown. America has always been about freedom. That's why we had the American Revolution. America has always been about men, women, and children in churches and exercising its freedom. That's why we have the oldest constitution in the world, 233-year-old constitutions. Other countries change their constitutions every 17 years. We've had ours for 233 years, which tells me that our Constitution was God-inspired. So when I see the Bible and then I see the Constitution. Those are the two things that I stand on. That's why we have to fight for our rights in America. We have to choose the right candidates, like our Attorney General Ken Paxton over here. He's the guy. I told people in secret places, he's the best Attorney General of Texas and the world will ever know. That's why we have to get him back into office. People who have a heart for God and who have a heart for the people. I will tell you this real quickly, a couple of more minutes here. I look and I stand today where God has done in my life and what he's done in our life. And I realize that America is the greatest place on earth. It is the only place where an ex-convict, an ex-felon, could work for the President of the United States of America. It's the only place that gives an opportunity to a man who was arrested over 45 times and shot 6 times, living and being homeless for 4 years and in and out of jail over 45 times, and then spending 6 years in prison, but changing my mindset. I am not a victim, I am a victor. In America, we will not fail because of opportunity. We will only fail if we were unprepared when opportunity presents itself. And I'm going to close with this. I took on a message that Abraham Lincoln gave me out of a book in prison over 20 years ago. And he said, if I had 45 minutes to chop down a tree, I spend the first 30 minutes sharpening my axe. So I say this to you today. When preparation meets opportunity, it becomes the formula for success. America is the greatest place on earth, and let's keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank heaven for Ken Paxton. Come on up here, Ken.
Thank you for that introduction. I just want to say I feel like I fit in with the deplorables. I think I am one. So I was blessed to represent Frisco in this area for 12 years, and I feel like I still do, given that I represent the whole state. So it's really a joy for me to be back here. I don't know if I've ever told you the story, but when I was elected to be Attorney General of Texas, I had to move to Austin. It was required by the Constitution. That's been changed. So a lot of my friends, knowing that I was from Collin County, that I had represented Frisco and McKinney and Allen, and that my lowest vote total was about 72%. And that was when Perry got 39%. So obviously I'm moving to Austin, and my friends are concerned that it's very liberal, very Democratic. And I told them I don't really mind living in Austin because it's not that far from Texas. So I just want you to know that it's great to be back in Texas tonight. So are you guys okay if since I don't have that long, I'd like to tell a few Trump stories if you guys are okay with it. And some of you have probably heard it. I told it last week in Collin County, but I'm gonna repeat some of those stories because I think they're instructive. So I will admit that I was a Ted Cruz fan and that I supported Ted Cruz for president. And I thought Donald Trump, at the time, I thought it wasn't even real. And I wasn't even sure if he was a Republican. Now, I turned out to be very wrong. And when he became the candidate, it wasn't a hard choice for me between Hillary and Donald Trump. So I supported Donald Trump, and certainly he delivered in a way that none of us expected. So my first experience, I'd gone to the White House with about 15 other attorney generals. I'd gotten to talk to him. I'd been in the Oval Office. But then shortly after his election, he came to Texas for the NRA convention. You all have heard of the NRA. And they asked me if I would greet him. Pull it up. There you go. They asked me if I would greet him at the airport, and I said sure. So it's a cold, dreary day. We're waiting for the president to come in. And actually, it was Ted Cruz and I. And we were also waiting for the vice president. He was the first one to come in on Air Force Two. He came off the plane. We said, "Welcome to Texas, Mr. Vice President." And then he went on to speak at the NRA convention. So we're waiting, and the advance guy comes up to me, and he says, "Hey, the president just texted me, and he wants to know if you would be willing to ride with him in the limo, the Beast, to the convention." And I said, "Well, let me think about it." "Yes, I'll do it." So he comes in 20 minutes later, gets off the plane. Ted and I greet him. He said, "Let's get in the limo." So the Secret Service tells you where to sit. And I ended up sitting right next to the president. John Kelly was the chief of staff right across from me, facing me. And then Ted Cruz was facing the president. So we're driving in. It's about a 20-minute drive to the convention. Every street is blocked. The roads are blocked. I'm just kind of taking it all in, thinking, who would have thought? I mean, you don't expect to get to ride in the limo with the president. So we're riding in, and then he says, "Hey, Ken, who do you think I should endorse? I'm going to endorse you and Ted today, but who else?" And I gave him a few other statewide leaders who were going to be there, and I said, "You should probably also endorse Angela Paxton." He said, "Who's that?" I said, "Well, she's my wife, and she's running for the Senate." He said, "Well, tell me about it." So I did. And he said, "Okay, I'll do it." I'm thinking, how does that happen? So we ride in, and when we got there, I was a little confused because I had my security detail with me, but they were not there. I had the Secret Service, and so I didn't know where to go. So I just kind of followed the president, and we walked into the convention center. We walked into this room, and when I looked in the room, only the president was in the room. And there was a big screen TV up, Pence was speaking, and I looked behind me, and there was nobody behind me. No Secret Service, no Ted Cruz, no John Kelly. I'm just looking in there going, okay, I missed my turn, but I don't know who to ask where to go. So I did what you would have done. I went and sat down next to the president. Why not, right? But I have to admit, I was in there thinking, when are they going to tell me to leave? I've done something wrong. So anyway, the president actually started quizzing me. He said, "No, I don't understand why you sued me over Obamacare." And I explained, I said, because it's unconstitutional, and I went through the whole thing. And then he said, "Okay, why did you sue me over DACA?" So we had a 5 or 6 minute conversation over that. And I'm still just sitting there going, how is this possible? Like, I'm alone with the president. There's nobody in here. Something bad is going to happen to me. It's got to be bad. Sure enough, 15 minutes goes by, we're alone. People start walking in. Secret Service, John Kelly walks in, Ted Cruz, but nobody bothers us. Another 10 minutes goes by, and finally the president's getting up. He's got to go speak, and he says, I said, "Hey, don't forget to endorse Angela." He goes, "I'm not going to forget." So he goes out there. I don't know how anybody follows him on a teleprompter because he adds his own stuff in the whole way. And sure enough, my wife, who was at a luncheon at the convention, just gets blown up. As a matter of fact, my assistant, Michelle, was with her. She was her campaign manager. And she starts getting message after message saying, "Congratulations on the president endorsing you." And she's like, "What?" And she finally, after about 20 of them, she goes, "Somehow, some way, I know Ken's involved in this. I just don't know how." So she finally finds me, the president speaking. He endorses me, endorses Ted, he endorses a few others, and he endorses Angela, as I said. And she had come in after that endorsement. And I said, "I want you to meet him." So when he got done, we went back behind the stage as he was walking out. And he goes, "Well, I knew there was a good reason that I endorsed her. As a matter of fact, Ken, I like her a lot better than you." And then he walks away and says, "See you later, Ken," and I'm just going, what was that? So that's not the end of the story. So there's a couple of more incidences that I'll have a point at the end. So Santa Fe shooting, you remember, the president comes into Ellington Air Force Base in Houston area, and this time the governor greets him. Ted Cruz is there, Dan Patrick. So the governor's talking to him first as he comes off of Air Force One. We're on the tarmac. And then Ted and I and Dan walk up, and within 30 seconds, the president says, "Ken, what am I going to do about Obamacare? I don't want to defend Obamacare. What do I do?" And I won't tell you which statewide official, but one of them kind of interrupted and started talking about something that was unrelated. And the president, after about 30 seconds, no, wait a minute, I'm talking about Obamacare. Ken, what do I do? I got interrupted again, and finally the president said, "Ken, go sit in the limo." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do that." So I walked back over to the limo, by myself this time, and I asked the Secret Service, "Where do you want me?" And they sat me again right next to where the president was going to sit. I ended up spending the whole day with the president. At the end of the day, he said, "Look, I want you to call my Solicitor General, Noel Francisco, and tell him that I don't want to defend Obamacare. I don't want to defend DACA." And I said, "Well, Mr. President, I don't think you understand this. Like, I'm suing you. I'm not on your side. Like, I'm suing you. I don't represent you. I represent Texas." He goes, "No, I don't care." He goes, I don't want to defend." He said, don't talk to Jeff Sessions." He didn't like Jeff much at the time. "Don't talk to Rob Rubenstein. Call Noel and tell him that I like him, and then tell him that I don't want him to defend these cases." I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And he said, "Then I want you to report back to me." And I said, "Mr. President, I don't know how to call you." And he told his assistant, he said, "Look, make sure he can get through. Give him your number. Whenever he needs to talk to me, let him through." That's pretty awesome. So I called Noel Francisco, Solicitor General of the United States, and I said, "Noel, this is very awkward for me because you know I'm suing you over these two cases. And I just want you to know the president asked me to call you, and he wanted me to tell you that he likes you. And he also wanted me to tell you not to defend these cases." And I went through and explained our rationale. And then I said, "And then I want you to know he asked me to call him back and report back kind of how this is going with you." And he goes, "Well, can you just call the White House counsel instead?" I said, "Nope, I'm calling the president. So you decide what you want to do." So they had a deadline to either file their brief against us or file for us. And they ended up on back-to-back days, consecutive days. Guess what? They switched sides, and they came on with Texas on both of those cases. So despite that, there was pressure, constant pressure. And I'll tell you two more stories related to this. So Angela and I go out to Las Vegas, not to gamble. Our daughter is being deployed to Afghanistan. And so we want to say goodbye to her. We want to meet the people that she's going with. She's embedded in a special forces unit doing intelligence. And so we first meet her commander, Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Holiday. And Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Holiday has been in the Air Force for 17 years. And we go into the office and we talk to him for a few minutes. He says, "Your daughter's doing great." And then we're kind of rotating around. We're meeting all of her friends that she's about to be deployed with. These guys are amazing. They drop behind enemy lines. They rescue pilots. They rescue assets. And so my staff starts calling me. And of course, I'm ignoring them because I'm meeting these really amazing people that are about to go to Afghanistan. And finally, they started calling Angela, and she ignores them. So Angela and I run into the restroom, and all of a sudden there's a bang on the door, and my daughter there, Second Lieutenant Abigail Paxton, says, "Dad, POTUS wants to talk to you." I said, "Okay, I'll call him back." So she takes me to the conference room, and I get him on the phone, and the first thing I said is, "Mr. President, before we talk about anything, I'm at Nellis Air Force Base, and my daughter's about to be deployed. I want you to talk to her when we're done, and I want you to talk to her commander." And so my daughter, being the smart girl that she is, she disappears. I didn't know where she'd gone. But she goes back to her commander's office and says, "Sir, sorry to bother you again, but I just need to let you know that POTUS wants to talk to you." And he looks at her and says, "Who?" She said, "Sir, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, wants to talk to you." And he looks at her and says, "Lieutenant, what are you talking about?" My dad is talking to the President of the United States right now. He's going to walk into your office, and the President of the United States is going to want to talk to you. And this colonel says, Lieutenant, what do I say? And she said, sir, my dad will be on the phone with you. It'll be on speaker. Just go with it. He'll help you. I thought that was pretty genius of her to do that. So sure enough, the call was about Obamacare. It was about his lawyers. It was the White House counsel. It was the Solicitor General. And they were trying to get him to switch sides. And sure enough, I get this call a couple of days later, and the White House counsel, Solicitor General, are telling me we're switching sides. They didn't tell me exactly what. They're switching sides. California had to intervene, and they were going to switch back with California. So we were expecting that day a brief that would switch back on Obamacare. So the President of the United States was going to switch. And at the end of the day, my Solicitor General came in and said, guess what? It's a one-page brief. It's not 16 pages going against it. It's a one-page brief saying that we support Texas, that what Texas is doing is right, that Obamacare is unconstitutional. And my Solicitor General looked at me and he said, that is exactly the opposite of what they told us was going to happen. What happened? And I said, the President of the United States overruled all his lawyers. I guarantee you. And he said, why do you think that? I said, look at the result. I know, we've talked to all of his top lawyers. They all wanted him to switch. He didn't do it. Last part of this story. 3 days later, Monday morning, I'd just been out running. I was trying to get in the shower. I had a couple of meetings coming up. I get a call from Madeline at the time, the president's assistant. She said, would you take a call from the president in the next 30 minutes? And I said, sure. So I did not get in the shower. 30 minutes goes by, no call. 45 minutes goes by, no call. An hour goes by, no call. So what did I do? I got in the shower. And I left my phone so I could see it. And I saw that number come across while I was in the shower. You know what it feels like to miss a call from the president? Fortunately, I called back and I said, Madeline, sorry I missed the call. I was in the shower. Patches me through to the president. He says, Ken, did you see what I did last week? And I said, yes, sir. He goes, do you know why I did it? And I said, well, I have my theories. I think I know why you did it. And he said, well, they came in, they tell me how, the pre-existing condition deal is a bad deal for me, that it's going to hurt me in my election. And then they wanted me to sign this document that said that I was going to switch sides, and I was going to side with California over Texas. And he said, when I said that, I could not side with California over Texas, and so he stuck with us. So why do I tell you those stories? One, I think we all know that Trump did some amazing things, that he did things that we expect people to do, but then they don't deliver. And he delivered on more things than I think that I've ever seen any president deliver on. And now he's out, and the fight is on, and we don't have the right president in place to do that fight for us. But I am convinced that as Texans, that it's up to us to win this fight. There's no other state that can win this fight. It has to be us. You might have noticed I've already sued Biden 6 times. He's been in office like 3 months. That fight is just beginning. And I want you to know that I truly believe that it's people like us, that God has put us in a place, just like he did the founders. There was a special group of people in place at the time of our founding. And I believe that Texas is a key to the survival of this country. And your work to elect leaders that will go fight is critical for us to continue as a country with the freedoms that we have grown up under. So I want to thank you for the opportunity you've given me. I will never quit fighting. We will take these guys on, both big tech and the federal government. I'm here to fight. Thank you all very much.
I just want to thank all of y'all for coming. And listen, we've got to get active. We've got to get out to vote. We've got to get